What's up, everyone? Before we get into this video, I just want to give you the quick heads up. The sound quality is a bit dull because, yeah, you'll see my microphone is there, but stupid old me, very forgetful old me, actually forgot to plug it into the computer. So my quality is a bit down. So guys, enjoy the video, and at the end, let us know what your worst 5 comic book films are. See you soon.
Welcome back to Talking Pop Culture, and I have a special guest with me today, Johnathan, all the way from Mississippi, USA. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm actually not sure if I'm proud of that fact, but that's totally cool that you threw that out there.
Now, Johnathan is from Comic Book Cinema. What can they go and find at your channel, mate? Just give yourself a bit of a plug before we get into this.
Yeah, it's just comic book movie content, pretty much the same thing as your channel. A little less pop culture, a little more comic book stuff, I guess. I mean, comic book movies are part of pop culture, but yeah, we got a TikTok and an Instagram. You can look us up at Real Comic Book Cinema. And our YouTube channel, we got roughly about 80-ish videos already. We've been doing it for almost a year. And you can find us at Comic Book Cinema. So, heck yeah, man.
Well, I'll have all the links to the accounts in the description of this video below. So be sure you all go and check it out. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you enjoy the video. And we're going to do a bit of a different thing than most people do, like a top 5. Well, we're going to go a worst 5. And we're going to kick it off with the worst 5 comic book movies. Okay, so we're going to start from 5, and then we're going to work our way down to number 1. I'll say what my number 5 is. Johnathan will then say what his number 5 is, and like I said, we'll work our way down and see if we have the same movies on the list. Let's not say, oh yeah, I've got that at this number. We'll hold it off. We'll have about a minute to just explain why we didn't enjoy the film. So without further ado, this is number 5. All right, Johnathan. I'll kick it off, and I'm going to say out of the, I guess you can say 5 films if you want to include the one that came a bit late. And number 5 for me, I have Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
Oh, that hurts me.
I just felt that it was just the most boringest one of them all. I didn't enjoy the storyline. However, I won't deny that the graphics, you know, obviously is a bit different to now, but the CGI CGI though on the first, second, third one, I didn't mind, but this one with Nuclear Man, Mark Pillow, who plays Nuclear Man, was just the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, and that's why I have that at number 4, mate. What do you number 5? Sorry, what do you have at number 5, buddy?
By the way, I totally get why you have that movie in the position that you have it in. It's totally understandable. An extremely low budget film, even for its time in the late 80s, mid to late 80s. But yeah, most people hate that movie. It holds a special place in my heart, but I am in the extreme minority when it comes to that. Anyway, for me, it's going to be Captain America 1992. This is actually another film that holds a special place in my heart because when I was a kid, I can remember going to the library and checking this movie out. This is how old I am. But, you know, when I saw that for the first time, there was only a handful of superhero movies that I had seen at that point. Maybe the first couple Superman films, Batman 1, Batman Returns, and that was it, you know? So me just seeing another superhero on the big screen was exciting, but in retrospect, this movie is god-awful. So that's why, for me, the 1992 version of Captain America is at number 5.
Well, I'm a DC fanboy, so I will admit I have never seen that movie. I'll have to check it out now that you've told me about it.
It's interesting.
All right, we got number 4. So my number 4, I've got a number 4 because I can't even remember it. I should have a number 1 because I can't remember it, but I went and saw this at the cinemas, and I swear I completely forget it. And it's Catwoman with Halle Berry. Oh, Lord almighty. It was just woeful. I wish I could talk about it and explain why, but the reason I'm saying it's on these is because I can't even remember it. You know what I mean? Like when you watch a film, even if it's a bad film, you still kind of have memories about it. All I can remember was the costume was absolutely awful. But yeah, the movie was just atrocious, man. What have you got at number 4?
I've actually never seen that Halle Berry Catwoman movie, but I've got to see that. That's one that, every time I make a top 5, top 10 list of the worst comic book movies of all time, and I don't include that movie, everyone's like, what about Catwoman? So I got to watch that.
Save an hour and a half of your life, mate. But anyway.
For me, number 4 is going to be Supergirl. It came out, I think, in 1984. This is another one. When I was younger, I used to like it just because we didn't have much at the time, but it's really, really awful. I watched this recently and the villain is just terrible. It's just cheesy. There is literally like almost nothing that's redeemable about this film, with the exception of Helen Slater. I think that was her name, the girl that played Supergirl. Beautiful woman, and the costume looked great, but other than that, there's not really much else going for this film. So that's my number 4.
All right. Number 3. So my number 3 is probably the worst, I guess you can say the worst Batman film of all time. And I'm going to say Batman and Robin. I just
totally understandable.
Yeah, I didn't like Batgirl in it. I didn't like the way they done Robin. It was just corny as hell. I think it was just the worst Batman. The bat nips we got in that. I think George Clooney was probably the worst decision casting of Batman. I think Alicia Silverstone, though, that she was casted because of, she was at her peak at that time. I understand that, but I'm sure there was a lot of other people they could have casted. And O'Donnell, I guess he cops a lot of hate, but I guess with the script he was given, it was probably hard for him to make something good of it. But yeah, Batman and Robin was just, I think the only part I liked was the motorbike scene, to be honest, when he's chasing Batgirl and she goes off the bridge and he catches her. Other than that, man, I honestly can't remember anything about that film because my memory just wanted to block it out. It was so crap. Have you seen it?
It's really bad, man. Like, Bane, basically every character in that film, they butchered. It's not faithful to the source material at all. But for me, number 3 is actually going to be Elektra. Ooh. This is one of those movies that when I watched it at the time, I can just remember. And this was in the early phases of comic book films. We weren't getting Iron Man yet. We weren't getting the first Avengers or anything like that yet. And this movie is just wild and wacky. Like some of the creative decisions that were made. The ninja that breaks into her house at the very beginning of the movie, and then he just looks at her and he's like, "You have 7 days until we come back." And then the ninja just does like this and breaks his own neck. Like cheesy, crazy. Can't believe it got made, and can't believe some of the decisions that were made. So yeah, that's my number 3.
Yeah, I think she was probably the worst casting to do. But again, I think the same as Alicia Silverstone. She
wasn't bad. I mean, she wasn't hard on the eyes, but
yeah. She's good in Daredevil. I didn't mind Daredevil. A lot of people give Daredevil shit, but I actually didn't mind that Daredevil film.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember liking it back in the day, but now it's just like it doesn't hold up. It hasn't aged well.
All right, well, let's go on to number 2. So my number 2, I really want to have at number 1, to be honest with you guys. The reason I got it at number 2 is because I know I'm a feminist, pretty much, but Birds of Frickin' Prey, man. I really want to put it at number 1, but Birds of Prey was far by the worst film. It spent too much trying to be, it's all right to say sexist jokes about men in movies, but hey, we make one and frickin' it's all cancel. But yeah, it was just, I hate the Harley Quinn. I hate Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I know she's Australian. I would have loved Kelly, I always butcher her last name, Kuko from, what is it, Big Bang Theory. She would have made a great Harley Quinn. She plays Harley, she does the voice for Harley Quinn in the animation show that's going on HBO Max. But yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a really good show.
Yeah, she's just absolutely woeful. I didn't like her. I actually read Birds of Prey comics, and I just felt just nothing to the source material whatsoever. They butchered it. They changed everything. They focused on all the Harley Quinn. I know they ended up rebranding it to Birds of Prey. I can't remember the long ass Harley Quinn slogan they had with it, but Yeah, it was Black. I like Black Mask as a villain, and they completely butchered him to the absolute freaking max. But and Zaz, they fucked him up to a beauty. Well, just yeah. What were your thoughts, and what do you have at number 2 after that, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with what you're saying. That's one of those films that's really, really bad for me. There are some redeemable qualities about it. It doesn't quite make it that far down to my worst 5 of all time. But yeah, like you're saying, I mean, there's not really much to the film. You know, it's very unmemorable. So that's kind of how I feel about that. And then for my number 2, I'm going to go with Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance. This film was actually, you know, because when the first one came out, I enjoyed it. I mean, it was decent enough, especially for its time, you know. So I was excited to see more of Sam Elliott and more of Nick Cage and more of that whole universe. Well, when we got the movie, the only returning character was Nicolas Cage, and almost all of the origins that were initiated in the first film were just completely ignored in this movie. He was doing a lot of weird stuff like piss and fire, and it was just odd, off the wall. And this is the weird thing about this movie too, or not necessarily weird, but just sad, I guess. I bought this movie on DVD before I saw it. You know, this is back in the days of DVD. Bought it on DVD, watched it, literally never touched it again. It's still sitting on my shelf back home to this day. So
I can't remember that one.
It's probably the only comic book movie that I've never watched twice. So if that tells you anything.
The only memory I have of that film was, I shouldn't say because my girlfriend's on the other couch right there. I was at a girl's house and yeah, pretty much just got halfway through it. And I think other things were better than that film. However, the first one was great because it was filmed here in Australia, to be honest, but not many people know that in Melbourne. So I remember when the production team was down in our city for that. So we're going to go on to number 1. All right. My number 1, if you're a subscriber to the channel for a while, you'll know I did the review on this last year and I gave it the worst rating I ever gave. It was just, I'm never going to get that time back in my life. And people that haven't seen it, I'll tell them, do not go and see it. You won't get time of your life back. And that's Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. I'm sorry, but it is, in my book, the worst film. I know a lot of people could say, hang on, there's a lot more other ones that I would put before that one, but man, never in my life have I regretted watching the film. Like, I hated that Catwoman and Birds of Prey and Batman and Robin, but I don't regret. You know what I mean? I hate the fact that I went and saw it. I didn't enjoy it. But this film, I regret giving it life. It was just cheesy. The lines were just absolutely stupid. The jokes were just forced. It had no sense of direction. I had no idea what was going on. But yeah, if you saw my rant about it, you'll know my thoughts. But yeah, that's my number 1. And I know you've seen it.
Oh yeah, dude. My hopes were so high because you had me at Woody Harrelson with this movie.
Yeah.
When they said Woody Harrelson was going to be the bad guy, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. Then I went to go see the film. Oh, it was such a letdown. I think that was the biggest thing that let me down in the film. You know, nothing to do with Tom Hardy, anything else in the movie. Literally, Woody Harrelson is what let me down about that. His performance was so cheesy and over the top. Like, I felt like I went in a time machine and went back 50 years ago when cheesy villains were the it thing in Hollywood. Like, I was like, what is this? You know? So yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. But my number 1 is probably one that's really obscure. I don't know if you've ever seen it, and probably a lot of your viewers have never seen it, but Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., as played by David Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
It is a made-for-TV movie, one that I own on DVD. I pride myself in collecting all the most rarest comic book movies. Every one of these movies I've named, I actually own on DVD, but it's terrible, man. Like, it's one of the films that I did a review on this film on my channel recently. It is the one movie that I have ranked an absolute 0 on my rankings list of comic book films. I mean, the lines are absolutely atrocious. David Hasselhoff, you would think that he looks the part, but he does not play the part well. Everything in this film is just utterly ridiculous and nothing about it makes sense. And the special effects are garbage. So That's Nick
Fury
Fury.
doing the like a running in slow mo, like on Baywatch, or they don't do anything.
Even that would have been better. I think it would have been better if David Hasselhoff would have took his shirt off and ran on the beach a little bit than
I
this.
honestly, I remember hearing about it, and I remember only because of his name. But oh, mate, I've never watched it, and yeah, all yours are bloody old school. You can obviously see the the gap between each other.
Yeah,
That's the 5 worst films that we feel, superhero films that we feel we've seen. Johnathan, please give yourself a bit of another plug, and make sure you guys go over and subscribe.
Yeah, Comic Book Cinema. You can find us on YouTube, Comic Book Cinema, Instagram, and TikTok at Real Comic Book Cinema.
Again, I'll have the links down below in the description. Go and check it out. Pure entertainment. You'll love the energy this man brings. I promise you, nothing but good fun. Thank you for watching, guys, and we'll see you soon on another Worst 5.